Right, I want to bring in our reporter Mbalenhle Mthethwa now to flesh out what we heard at the State Capture Commission yesterday. The Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan has admitted he doesn't have all the evidence against people he accused of involvement in state capture. Gordhan appeared at the State Capture Commission yesterday and was cross-examined by Advocate Dali Mpofu, who represented former Revenue Services boss Tom Moyane. Mpofu questioned Gordhan on allegations of state capture involving certain individuals, including Moyane and the current public protector. Mbali joins us now live. Mbali, just give us a sense of what we heard yesterday. This interaction was very interesting between Advocate Dali Mpofu as well as Pravin Gordhan. The questioning, the answers, big takeaways for you.
Yes, Blaine, good morning. Blaine, essentially what we saw yesterday was a huge exchange where there seemed to be, tensions ran really high. And the problem with the testimony yesterday were the accusations, and that's one of the biggest takeaways. We saw the advocate Dali Mpofu questioning Minister Pravin Gordhan along the lines of evidence, and if he could actually, back up the claims that he was making before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry based on personal experience. And we heard him finally conceding that he didn't have that. And we understand that he based most of his testimony and relied on the Nugent report for the assertions that he made before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. Now, we also heard the Advocate Dali Mpofu asking the minister if, it is not arrogant of him to then ask to make such allegations based on hearsay under oath, given all the ramifications that would come from making allegations such as those, and alleging that certain individuals within cabinet, such as the former SARS Commissioner Tom Moyane, them being involved in the state capture project, and also just working and collaborating with other authorities in order to advance the state capture project. And essentially, that is the biggest problem, or the biggest takeaway from this, the fact that, these accusations were made on a public platform such as the State Capture Commission of Inquiry, and they were made under oath. And given the fact that, they have the potential of tainting one's reputation and all of that. So that is one of the big issues that came out of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry.
The interactions between the advocate and the witness, some might describe it as cantankerous at times. What are observers saying with regards to what they witnessed yesterday?
The relationship between Tom Moyane as well as Pravin Gordhan has been strained for a very long time, and that's what we saw playing out at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. This relationship, or the strained relationship, or the hostility, to be exact, actually dates back to as far as the SARS Commission of Inquiry, where we saw the very same legal representative appearing before that commission, saying that, explaining that basically making the same allegations, accusing the Minister of racism, saying that he would belittle Moyane and exclude him from certain meetings, and he would always castigate him in front of his peers and so on. So that has always been there, and we've seen basically the relationship taking center stage and hearing very little about, Moyane's alleged involvement in the state capture project. If anything, we're hearing things that where Moyane's legal team have accused Minister Pravin Gordhan of, being jealous of the former SARS commissioner for having collected over R1 trillion in terms of tax collections. And this was essentially the first time. This is not the first time we're also hearing this kind of claim and so on. We also heard an allegation that, or an accusation coming from Moyane's legal team, that Pravin Gordhan's hostility towards the former SARS commissioner was all out, came from a desire to conceal his own involvement in the state capture project. We also heard allegations that, Moyane essentially revealed some allegations of corruption, or the Minister Pravin Gordhan's involvement in corruption at SARS when he was during his tenure as SARS commissioner. So those were some of the things that came forward, and those were some of the accusations, and it became a back and forth more than it was about, the state capture commission, the allegations of state capture, and implicating, or it wasn't really with evidence that would implicate the other person, but it was more or less like accusations going back and forth. We also saw that one of those accusations was that Moyane actually collaborated with the Hawks and other authorities in order to try and force him and push at the time Minister Pravin Gordhan, who was the finance minister at the time, out of his position. And essentially, there is a clip that speaks to some of these things. Let's play that clip.
Eugene, do we have that clip? Oh, let's play.
Do you, Pravin Gordhan, have any evidence that Mr. Moyane was meeting with the Hawks every day? I'm asking this for the fourth time.
Let me then repeat for your benefit, because you seem to be hard of hearing at this point.
Maybe before you repeat, Mr. Gordhan.
Mr. Gordhan, you don't have to insult me about being hard of hearing. Your job is to answer questions here.
Mr. Gordhan,
I'm not going to take that nonsense from you.
Before you answer, let me break it up. Did you ever see Mr. Moyane working with the Hawks every day personally?
No.
No. Do you have somebody that you can bring to the commission who can say, I did see Mr. Moyane working with the Hawks every day?
I will certainly search my memory, Chairperson, and if I do come up with a name, I will let the commission know.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any document that suggests that Mr. Moyane was working with the Hawks every day?
Except for the processes around the charges.
Yes.
So complaint.
Yes.
No.
Okay, all right. Mr. Mpofu, I think breaking it up like that probably helped.
Yes. Well, firstly, let me just say, you have no right to say I'm hard of hearing, okay? I'm not your child or your picnin, so you must not treat me like that. I'm not one of those Africans that you can undermine. So I'm telling you, yeah, don't even think about it.
All right, Mbalenhle, one of the more heated moments, I could say, over the past couple of hours. It lasted for a number of hours, went late into the evening. What are observers saying, Mbalenhle, with regards to how the chair handled this situation?
We saw the chair taking on the referee role during yesterday's proceedings, because it seemed as though there was a bit of a back and forth between the evidence, not the evidence leader rather, but Advocate Dali Mpofu as well as Minister Pravin Gordhan. We saw some of the exchanges where Advocate Dali Mpofu didn't like the manner in which Minister Pravin Gordhan was answering the questions. He would essentially answer questions, simple. Advocate Dali Mpofu wanted yes and no answers, but the minister would take a very long way around, long-winded way to explain those questions or to answer those questions, and he obviously didn't take that very lightly and didn't take that kindly, and unfortunately there was that back and forth, and what you see in that clip is the Deputy Chief Justice essentially just coming in and stepping in and just trying to at least resolve the situation or the impasse between the two sides. We did see a number of adjournments to allow for the tensions to just die down during the proceedings yesterday, but that is essentially what has happened, and we know that the tension actually come from all the way back during Moyane's tenure as SARS Commissioner, and at the time when Minister Pravin Gordhan was the Finance Minister. I mean, the tensions were so severe to the extent that Moyane at the time refused to report to Treasury and had his leave directed to the presidency, because he was of the view that he reported to the presidency and not to Treasury. And we also saw that situation also playing itself out at the commission, where we had Advocate Dali Mpofu telling Minister Pravin Gordhan that the fact that Moyane had refused to report to him does not mean that he was one of the people or one of the officials who facilitated the state capture project, and does not qualify as proof of being involved in state capture.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Mbalenhle, it's not over yet. I understand that the cross-examination will continue sometime in the near future, correct?
So this essentially does happen where we understand that the cross-examination was actually supposed to take 2 hours, but we saw that extending throughout the day, and obviously there's need for more time because, there are more issues and there are more questions that have actually come up based on, a supplementary affidavit that was presented by the minister, as well as, just going back to the testimony that he had presented prior to yesterday. So we will see more of that. For today, though, we are expecting to hear ESCOM-related testimony. It is still unclear who will be appearing before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry today. However, we've just received communication that they will be resuming at 4 p.m. this evening.
All right. Mbalenhle Mthethwa, live for us there. Thank you very much indeed for your take on matters, as well as bringing us some of the big takeaways of the State Capture Commission. We'll check in with our reporters later on, as Mbalenhle mentioned, that the State Capture will resume today. It's at 4 o'clock, and ESCOM-related evidence will be led.